Thank you, gentlemen, for your appearance and your continued service. General Abrams, let's dig down a little bit deeper into this training question. At what level would your troopers recognize a difference from what was happening, say, a year ago to what's happening now? Would a new rifleman in his first tour on the Korean Peninsula notice a difference in his training level or the training exercises he conducts?
No.
A squad leader?
No.
Platoon leader?
No.
Company commander?
No.
Battalion commander?
He has not, Senator, he has not noticed a difference yet, but he might in the upcoming months.
And then presumably the command levels above battalion might notice a difference in the kind of exercises they conduct?
Yes, within those 4 dials, they would, at that echelon, they would notice it.
Is it fair to say that the commanders at that level, the full bird colonel level up to the General Abrams level, are pretty well versed in the demands of their job from their previous levels of command?
Absolutely.
It's good to know. Admiral Davidson, the Indo-PACOM is characterized by the longest distances in any of our combatant commands. I presume that places a premium on long-range precision strike for you and your forces?
It does, absolutely.
And
yes, sir.
Currently, those are predominantly maritime and air-based systems?
That's correct.
So there's been a lot of news coverage recently about the President's decision, long overdue in my opinion, to withdraw from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, and it's focused, understandably, on what it means for Europe and Russia, since that was a treaty between the United States and Russia back when it was the Soviet Union. But what does it mean for you and your theater to have the prospect of intermediate range missiles available for ground basing?
China has been, since they are not party to the INF Treaty, has been investing in the kind of weapons that create a serious challenge to us. Over 95% of their ballistic missiles would not be permitted under the INF Treaty. For us to have a land-based component with that kind of capability restores maneuver to the force, meaning it'll make the air, the maritime, and the land component much more viable in any warfare scenario and present a much greater challenge for our adversaries to threaten.
And all those land-based systems are presumably cheaper, easier to operate, since they just sit there on land. They don't have to move around on a ship or an aircraft all the time?
Well, one of the things that will be required, Senator, is mobility out of those assets. I think land-based assets will be that way. In this day and age, if it is fixed on the planet, it is dead. You don't even need space assets to support that. The globe has been mapped, and a ballistic missile can find its way there based on its own internal targeting. So we need to, we would have to have some mobility in those land-based assets.
Do you, your counterpart sitting in the People's Liberation Army, do you think it makes them happy that you may soon have land-based missiles that can reach intermediate ranges?
No, I think it makes them unhappy.
General Abrams, what about your counterparts in North Korea? You think they're happy or unhappy that they may soon face land-based intermediate range missiles?
I can't characterize whether they're happy or not, but I'm certain that it makes them very nervous, and it is certainly changing their calculus.
Complicates their planning?
Absolutely.
Okay. Gentlemen, well, I'll address this to Admiral Davidson, and you can reserve specific details for our closed session, but one point of criticism we've heard is that we may not have places to base these systems. As you point out, they're mobile. They're not often much bigger than a tractor trailer. Do you think we'll be able to identify places in the Indo-PACOM where we can base land-based intermediate range missiles?
Yes, sir. I think there'll be viable assets for us, but it's probably a conversation better to have in closed session.
We'll talk about that in greater detail this afternoon. Thank you, gentlemen.